All right, we are here. Welcome to Mink Life Motivation Live, and we have a special edition of the show today as we have a young buck who's joining us. But the conversation we're having today is building your business by connecting to a cause, which is why we have our special guest. But to help me craft this conversation, we have Andrea Gewertz, who is our co-host. She is the Wellness Thrive strategist of Wellbeing and Worth. She is also a MinkLife Motivation Master Trainer and the Dean of MinkLife University. Andrea.
Hey, girls. Hello, ladies.
Love the new picture, by the way. And we also have Peggy MacArthur, who is the owner and photographer at Headshot by Peggy, also the Headshot strategist and a MinkLife Motivation Trainer of the Brand Builder. Welcome, Peggy.
Yay, so good to be here.
Also joining us on the couch is our special guest.
I didn't know I had my thing.
Yeah, you totally have it. And she's a student, an athlete, and a young entrepreneur, Monica A. Henderson.
And don't be fooled by the last name. This is really my daughter.
And of course, the person who is missing on this is you. You are the co-host on the couch. So feel free to chat, to chime in with your heys, I'm here's, and we will add you to the conversation as we go along. So welcome. So excited. Thanks for being here today.
I'm glad to be here.
Good. So this is not a usual occurrence, as Monica is always at school, but you have heard many conversations about her young entrepreneurial endeavors on the show. And I thought this morning when I was getting dressed, I was like, would you like to be on the show this morning? And she was like, maybe. And then I said, and she's like, what's the topic? And I was like, connecting your business to a cause. Basically how entrepreneurs can be responsible with their businesses and really connecting into a cause. And so she's like, oh, I can talk about that. That's something that I can do. And so hopefully she won't be camera shy today and she will get comfortable in this seat. But we're excited to have you here.
Yay.
Yes. So why did you say yes to being on the show today? What was going through your head when I asked you?
I think I was thinking about businesses that I follow and how they use different charities and different movements to kind of appeal to my generation.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like, oh, I can talk about that. I have been looking at this for a while. I guess I can offer some insight about it.
See, everybody's experiences are valid in the Mink Life universe, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily a business owner who's bringing some of this insight, but sometimes it can be a young entrepreneur who has several jobs.
I was going to say, may not have an LLC.
Exactly.
Don't say that.
It's the hardest working kid I know. So tell us a little bit about some of the things that you do to make money.
I mainly my biggest income is dog sitting. I have my usual clients and I usually dog sit per day and for days, hours, that type of thing. And then I also sell cards, trading collectible things like that. And then sometimes I sell my clothes. And I used to be loaning money to my elementary school peers. That is way back in the past. But that was what I used to do.
You decided not to get in trouble with the IRS before your 15th birthday?
I didn't want to get in trouble with my principal. So
yeah. So I know this is probably strange, but that is entrepreneurship at its finest, right? Finding ways, you're using your talents, passions, and training in order to get paid to do things. And I've clearly seen a hole in the market and you filled it. So that's perfect. Well, Colleen says hello. Thank you for being on the couch with us today, Colleen. And if you are watching along with Colleen, feel free to chime in. We're going to get this party started, as it's my job as the conductor of this train to keep us on track. So it's time for us to get motivated And we're going to ask the first question, and I promised her I would not have her go first because she's like, I don't understand what we're supposed to do here. So relax. You'll get a chance to chime in after we go. But the first question of the day is, why is it essential for businesses for you to connect your business to a cause? And we'll start with Andrea first. Andrea.
Why is it essential? I like what little Monica just said. She says, in businesses that I follow, I'm interested in what they think is important. Um, I think it helps a brand or a business give itself personality. It helps it become more relatable to consumers and maybe to other businesses that might want to align and partner with them. Increasingly, I think businesses too want to be aligned with causes or they seek them out. What I don't like is when they potentially are doing it just because it's the thing to do. And notably, I think of when Black Lives Matter was like a big to do. Everybody was jumping on the wagon saying they support Black Lives Matter, but it's then what is in your follow up. So I think it's essential to really pick something that aligns with you, your passions, your purpose as the business owner or the business and the brand, and then follow through. So I think it's essential to, actions speak louder than words. It's not just words. And I think we saw a lot of that at the height of the Black Lives Matter movement or the initiation of it in the press. Because, I mean, Black Lives Matter has been around for a while, but then it became a press worthy thing.
Yeah.
So I think uh, seeing people all jump on that bandwagon and then seeing what they did 6 months later has been an interesting exposition and revelation. So
Oh yeah, Peggy. I know that probably triggered you a little bit. Did you want to?
I am a big believer in, I guess I've been the person that's always stood up for the underdog. I've always believed that if I have a voice, I need to use my voice. Because if I don't use my voice to help you, then when people are coming after me, who's going to use their voice to help me? I've always lived my life that way. And as a result, I've always been very involved. I'm very passionate about several causes. I'm very involved in a lot of things. And what I have found is that other people that feel the same way I do, maybe they're not quite as pushy or passionate about things as I am, but they still feel the same. They agree with these things. It's easy for them to say, "Oh, well, if I'm doing business with Peggy, then ultimately I am helping these causes because a percentage of everything I give her, she's giving." And I do that. I hook up with businesses that I know support things that I, love. Ben and Jerry's. I'll buy Ben and Jerry's. I can't eat ice cream, but I'll buy Ben and Jerry's and have it in the house because other people in my house can't eat ice cream. But different things like that. Why pick them versus something else? Is it because they, A, they're good quality, but B, I know that part of that money is going towards something I believe in. So it makes sense. And so as a business owner, when you put that out there, other people are going to be like, hey, your stuff may not be any better than this stuff, but I'm going to pick you because I believe in you. And on the flip side, it kind of thins out the people you don't want to hang out with. I have found that I don't have, people know are very, very adamantly know what I stand for, and the people that don't agree with me, I don't have to do business with them. So, those are a couple of reasons why I think it's important.
Oh yeah. Did you want to chime in yet? Next, or you any thoughts?
I think it just shows that you care.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, well, I am giving money to someone who, like a company that actually cares about me. I don't know. It's just like, rather than giving it to some company that um, is just doing their thing, they don't give back to the community or anything like that. It's like, well, I could give my money to someone who will give back to me.
Mm-hmm. So, why do you think it's so important? Why do you think your generation feels so connected to businesses that like give back in that way? Because that's not something that we
We never
experienced in
cared but this generation,
this
that's, I was
generation.
going to ask her that, so
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked.
I think it's just um, like for example, I follow a lot of fashion companies.
Hmm.
That fashion is one of those things that like I am always up to date on. I like look at like their environmental scores, like are they helping the environment, is it like harmful? And for me it's like important to look into that because I don't want to be like,
Irresponsible.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to be spending money to harm the environment. I think it's like very important for me to know so I don't like harm the environment because of ignorance. So
Hmm.
I think that it's important for my generation to like care about companies like that help the environment, help communities, stuff like that, because it's a lot like it feels a lot better to like
Yeah.
be in the know, to
Yeah.
not like be ignorant about certain things and then just like harm something, you know?
Yeah. Andre, you gonna say something?
Yeah, I wanted to add another thing when you said, I don't think our generation cared. I don't know. I think that's not true. I think there's more transparency now
Hmm.
because younger people have insisted on it. I think
Hmm.
when we found out something was jakey, we were like,
Yeah.
oh, hell no, right? And then, but we just didn't have access in a way that um, our children have access and the onslaught of information. I
Yeah.
When we were this age, we didn't see the world because
No,
we didn't have the
Mm-mm.
internet and the social
you
media.
didn't have the ability to know what's happening around the world from your phone. And
Right.
so I think to Monica's point, it's because they are being told that there are big problems in, let's say, the environment, like the climate, and they're going to be with people, hopefully, that will march with their dollars to
Yeah.
convince capitalists, in particular, um, that we have to do better. Because hello,
Hmm.
I'd like a place to live, and they very much feel this,
Yeah.
I think, and I'm honored that these kids are so vocal like that. Like
Hmm.
Monica saying that gives me hope because we think they're so connected to their phones and this, that, and the other thing. And in point of fact, that phone has given them a type of intellectual aplomb to say, hey, oh, no, 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 stop. And they
Yeah.
do, people have to. That's why do you think Black Lives Matter was like all these emails from everything you've ever bought was sending you an email? I really care, because these young people are like, do you care? They're like, yeah, 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 I care. Whether they acted on it or not, but good, keep on it because I think that's so true with like my at least my eldest daughter, right? And my youngest just likes to thrift anyway, so she's like, whatever.
Yep.
Like,
Sustainability.
I'll repurpose. Oh, you'll
Yeah.
be proud of her, Monica. She made this. Someone gave her some fabric. She put together a coat. Went to an
Mm.
event. Everyone's like, "Where'd you make that? Where'd you get that jacket?" People are like, "Oh, I was like, oh, she made it yesterday." They're like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah."
Another young entrepreneur. We should have her on the show one day during a break. Maybe spring break. We'll have her on because what I love about being us having this experience with these young entrepreneurs. They're both 14 respectively, I
Yep.
believe, right?
14th. Yep.
And so they're really babies, but they have like this raw understanding of business that I think hasn't been taught out of them yet. And so it's one of the causes that's important to me. And one of the reasons why I think every business should connect to a cause is because this generation, right, is one watching us. They're watching what you're doing. They're watching how you are handling business. They're watching what I get some of the best business insights from this kid, to be honest. Some of the best insights because she doesn't know all of the. She hasn't been told no. Like you can't do that. Why can't I be socially responsible and also provide a great product? Like they have all the solutions and they're like living in that problem solving. Like I'm optimistic enough that I can change the world and nothing has told me that I can't do that yet. And so that's one of the reasons why reaching back into your community and really kind of connecting to the community through a cause, like maybe it's like young entrepreneurship, or maybe it's another cause that you're truly passionate about, can actually help you really fortify your business in a way that most people just think of, like, oh yeah, well, I'll write my check to the charity and I'll do my business, but they don't really match. And the idea is, if you can get all of those things to directly align, right, where you're doing the work that you do and you're also able to affect change in the communities that you support, imagine how much more fantastic your day will be, because you feel like every single solitary thing that you're doing is really kind of changing the world in such a great way. So you did good on your first one.
All right,
All
ready?
right. You ready to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay. You got a little bit of the nervousness off now. You feel like you can handle this? All right, cool. So let's go into our next part, which is we're going to stay inspired. And the reason why we want to stay inspired is because a lot of the times business is hard. A lot of the times being an entrepreneur can be a bit daunting. And when you're trying to do something to change the world, it can be even that much more daunting. So the question is, how do we create synergy with community leaders? So the community of choice, right? So any community of a cause that you feel is beneficial. What are some ways that we can kind of create synergy in that way? Any thoughts? If you want, I can go first. If not,
I'll take a stab at it.
Okay.
I may be coming at a different thought than what you would originally, but that's what makes this show fun, right?
She always comes from a completely different.
That's why you let me stay.
Yep.
Because you're like,
that's where we were going with that, but we'll take it.
So I feel like we should always think locally. I mean, think globally and act locally. And in that, that's how we're going to make a change. I personally don't always have the finances that I want to have to give to the things that I want to give to. And when those come up, I think, how can I be creative in helping the community with what I have? When I lived in San Diego, I worked with a school that taught homeless kids. And I went in and I did the school pictures and I printed, because, not everybody had access to the internet. And I would print pictures for them and their families, because that's something that a lot of people take for granted. You get a school picture every year. Well, the homeless kids don't get a school picture because they don't go to, a school that caters to them. And there was another program that I worked with where I actually taught kids how to use their creativity in using a camera and taking pictures. So I was able to give in a big way, even though I wasn't where I wanted to be at that time financially, to just say, here, do it. So I think that when you go in and say, what are you doing? How can I help? And it could be, hey, we need somebody to sweep. We need somebody to, do something that you have a talent for doing. So I believe that communication and just get up and do something, because if we just sit at home and think, gosh, I wish I could get involved in that cause, but I don't have any money, then we just sit at home and we don't do anything. So instead, contact the local things that are doing things and say, hey, I don't have any money today. I probably will tomorrow, but what can I do today? And so
Love
that's my answer to your question. How did I do?
I think you did just fine.
I think you summed it up pretty perfectly. I mean, I was going to say a similar thing. It is really, like you said, I guess the synergy is to take action and look to see who needs the help and offer it in any capacity that you can do it. Is it financial? Sure. Is it helping a small group become well known because you share them with your community to galvanize your community? Like, look at this great thing. For instance, when I was a stylist, I was kind of like a closet strategist. I've always been a strategist of sorts. Because I used to have a business called Your Girlfriend in Your Closet, and it was all about making your closets One, efficient. I hate it when people bought the same thing over and over again. So I was like, let me fix that for you. So you buy something that you need. And then they were like, well, all these extra clothes. I was like, oh, I have places for them. And there's tons of, uh, not just Goodwill and Salvation Army. I, in particular, wanted to always use a place called Working Wardrobes. They sadly didn't make it through COVID. Now it was Women Helping Women, and now it's become Working Wardrobes. They've like merged together. Imagine my surprise when I went to make a donation. I was like, what's going on? I'm in the wrong place. But they're still there. But they really appreciate it. And then women who were in my business were like, oh, we can get rid of our clothes here? I'm like, yes. And so that connection and putting people into a place so that when women were returning to work, they had professional clothes to wear. And occasionally you could volunteer to help them actually dress themselves and like outfit them. So that was a way to put a seemingly trifle skill, because people are like, what are you doing, Andrea? To good effect. And people really appreciate it. Like, thanks. I really, like to your point, like those people having that snapshot of their family in that moment in time got teary eyed thinking about it. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing, but seeing the pride someone has, like when they walk into a place and they can go get a job because they're dressed appropriately, gave me a lot of pleasure. And it was such an easy thing to go do. So you're right. Doing local things matter because they don't necessarily get the press even, right? So.
Yeah. What do you think? How do you create synergy with community leaders?
It's an interesting question.
Well, I know your high school is a nonprofit, right? And there's been a lot of businesses that have created synergy with you guys, right?
Yeah, a lot.
What are some businesses that have so a little context, Monica goes to the only all-girls public school in California. And attached to it is a nonprofit. And this school is public, so it doesn't cost anything to go to the school. And the parents basically, along with community leaders, fund the school's education, or supplements it from anything that LA Unified School District doesn't give it, in order for it to have excellence in education and to really kind of create that pipeline to jobs for girls in STEM positions. And so the field trips and the donations and the support that you've gotten. I remember there was that project that you did with Fandango.
Oh yes, that's what I was thinking about.
So, what was it? Just talk a little bit about what that was about.
So my school did this entire project with Fandango where we would assign the computers to different students for the upcoming year, and then Fandango would, I guess, help us with it. We learned a lot about computer science and spreadsheets and stuff like that. And then they also did this program with our broadcast team where we would get to visit Fandango and how they filmed different things, just so that we could get inspired with our own broadcast team to try and deliver news better for our school. So
yeah. So even something as simple as just kind of using what you already do in the community is really helpful. But as the president of the board of the nonprofit, I was president for a couple of years, and we worked with Tesla, we worked with Google, we worked with SpaceX. we worked with some really big companies. The Department of Water and Power. There was basically all of these
with the lawyers,
with the Attorney General. So there was a lot of different. And what was beautiful about it, and I think as small businesses, if we could adopt this a bit, right? If they didn't necessarily come with dollars, they came with fulfilling a need. It wasn't like, oh, here's $10,000. It was, you have broken computers, we have a tech team and you're a STEM school. So maybe what we can do is teach your kids how to fix their computers, and they can use the support of our tech team to be able to fix those computers and to track the inventory and all of those kinds of things, right? So synergetically in those ways. But then also the women's conference.
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh, like just being a speaker and speaking into the in at the women's conference. So her school would turn the entire school day into a women's conference. And so instead of going to classes, they would actually go to different breakout sessions with different speakers. Take your career day, but kind of like on steroids, if you will.
Yeah.
And they had speakers like people from Tesla and
They even had like mundane, well, not mundane,
but like
simpler
normal
jobs,
everyday jobs.
like firefighters.
The firefighter was the hit, to be
It
honest.
was.
There was a whole Tesla engineer, but everybody was talking about the firefighters, just so you know. So it doesn't even matter if your job is not like the coolest, or if your business is like not the biggest, well known. It's like the energy that you can bring to the community, right?
I also think that it's a lot like it's easier to appreciate as a student, like coming from a student standpoint, when you get like knowledge from like these like people who are working with the school rather than money, because you don't really know where the money is going. We don't really like see what's happening. But if you like come in and you're like, let me talk to you about
whatever.
Well, and when somebody takes the time to see you and talk to you, I think that's it, is take the time to see people and talk to people and give your wisdom and gifts, talents. So that's a good point.
That is a great point.
So I think it's like more personal, like if you get personal with like your community, I guess, if you find some way to like help them, but beyond like funding something or something like that, you like give like a future kid a job opportunity, or like you teach them about something that they could possibly go into. I think it's like, for a while I wanted to be a biomedical engineer, just because like some people from NASA came in and they were like, this is this and this is how you can help people. And I was like, well, I don't want to be a doctor, but this sounds like
fun.
So like, I think it can change the court. Like it can positively help to go in and create like a personal relationship with kids, or like your community in general.
Yeah. Well said.
Well, I know. Monica's like, well, I don't know. And then I'm like, God, that was good. Well, I knew it would be good, but I mean, everything we said, but anyone listening is going to be like, little Monica said, Monica said this. They're not going to remember what we said, because you just said it so well. You're like, the appreciation for that role model and the way you described it, I'm like,
yeah. When I was like rethinking how I was doing my spirituality and my walk with God and like spiritual centers and all those other things, I grew up as a child, and they were like, you give 10% of your work, you give 10% of your money to your source of inspiration or your spiritual center or whatever it is, or back into the community. And for the longest time, I was a poor, broke college student, so 10% of nothing was nothing, right? And I always felt like that I couldn't do anything unless I did something. And I had reframed it in my head of like, no, 10% of my time still counts, right? So if I can give 10% of my time to a cause, even if I don't have any money, right, or as a resource, I don't have any money to give them, but 10% of my time, that's something that I can give. And so then I reapplied it as opposed to just saying, oh, well, I have no money, I can't help this cause, I can't make a difference, there's nothing I can do. And so to your point, though, that effort of really just giving your time and knowledge and experience does count as you kind of connecting to that cause and to the community and working with the leaders. Wowzers, this might be one of the best shows. Look at you. Okay, so we are going to keep moving along, and we are going to keep networking. And if you haven't watched the show before, you will know. If you have watched the show before, you will know that when we talk about networking, it is not being a card dealer and handing out your information and telling people to connect to you, but more so being able to ask for help or to ask for collaboration. And so as we are tapping in to look, time is one of the most valuable resources. That's
Absolutely.
right. And so as we are tapping into our networking of it all, the question is, who should you surround yourself when connecting your business to a cause? I love this question because this is now just the who. All right. So we're going to start with you this time.
Okay.
So who should we connect? Who should we surround ourselves with when we're connecting our business to a cause?
Who?
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Mainly, I do most of my activism or like that type of stuff online. So I will just give that type of insight.
So connecting to people online, is that what you're saying?
No.
So what are you
I
saying?
think like first of all, it's probably like trustable resources, like trustable like news, um, like blogs of any kind that like give you like information about different like causes, that type of stuff. I think it's best to know like what are the causes 1st, and then you can surround yourself with like leading like activists who are very involved in the topic, I guess. And then from there you can be like, well, what can I do that this person does, like in my with my own resources? And then from there you can like start to build on that, I guess. So like
Peggy's over there sitting like a proud
I
mama.
was like,
she's like, that's my child.
well, because okay, so for let's say taking what I said, when it comes to stuff that I like, causes that I support, I am mainly for support the environment. So I'll look at blogs that tell me like what's happening with the climate or with the environment, and then from there I look at people in the media around me, anything like that, who know are knowledgeable about this, and then I can say, well, what do they do to help this cause? And I can say, well, I can go to cleanups, I can share this information with people, I can speak with my like I guess audience about this type of stuff, and then from there I can make my I can have like a movement of my own, I guess, like that. Yeah.
Andrea's over there like, yes, girl. Well, we're done with this. Thanks.
I don't know, little. Everyone like, okay, so I've been calling her Little Monica, but that's what we colloquially call her. She's Monica A, and there's Monica M, but you know, aunties do call her Little Monica, so I've been calling her that. And they're like, that's not her name. Like, yeah, well, it is when they're both sitting side by side. But no, that was an awesome answer for the kid who's like, well, I don't know. I think that you kind of, I don't know. Did she leave us much, Peggy?
not much.
Not really.
Not much. So okay, we're done now. So anyway, happy Merry Christmas, and let's no, that was awesome. But I love that you're really clear that you look, you seek out, you follow the breadcrumbs to get where you want to go. Like that to me is just like, yes. And yes, she is Monica's child, so of course she's following the breadcrumbs. But you know, I think she was taught that out of the birth canal. Okay, follow breadcrumbs. You're going to follow breadcrumbs. You will figure out the sequence. But no, that's awesome. But that's exactly true. I was just thinking of my daughter who, when she turned 18, was so excited that she knew exactly who she was going to vote for. Because she was waiting. She's like, I can't wait. I'm going to vote for these people. And she had it all planned out in her head because she was waiting for this chance to exercise what she just really, I was so proud that she was so into voting. I was like, she had her ballot out. She'd done her research. And she's like, is it always like this with all of these things? I'm like, yeah, here in California. Yes. But that wasn't enough. And so you're ready. You got 4 more years to where she could vote tomorrow, girl.
Oh, she votes with us. So we actually
I'm
sit
so
at the
excited
table.
to actually vote.
I know.
I know. I can tell. Like,
Yeah, We sit at
Mom.
the table, we lay out we have her read the propositions to us, we like debate
I
it
love it.
out, then we like check our little ballots, and then I do my sample ballot, and then from the time she was big enough to actually poke the things, she was the one who actually did the voting. So she took my sample ballot and I was like, okay, this one, and she be the one stamping the things for as long as she could. So we have so many pictures of her with the "I voted" sticker.
Before school.
Before school, it was like, no, you'll be late. We got to go vote. And so we made it a priority. But I love that is being fostered in other places as well, in your girls as well. So that's really cool.
So I want to build on something that you said. Do the research and surround yourself with trustworthy things.
Yes.
This has been vaguely mentioned. I think Andrea mentioned it from the get-go, like, oh, people like, oh, I'm all about this cause if that's going to make me popular and get your money. Mm-hmm. Not only that, there are causes that are nonprofit for profit. Many years ago, I lived on the Navajo Indian Reservation, and I was propositioned by a organization to take pictures of children because they were saving something. I'm not going to name the organization. But that was shady, wasn't it?
It was.
That was. Anyway, these kids that I knew that were my neighbors, they were like, oh no, they were like dirtying their faces, putting raggy clothes on them, wanted pictures like this. And in return, our community was supposed to get like a playground or something. And the community never actually saw any of the money from this organization. And it was shady how they wanted to advertise this community. And, so they were basically pulling on people's emotions to take your money. Now, I'm a big believer in when I do things and my heart's right, I feel like I'm still doing something right. But why waste your money on scams? And, take the extra step to do research and actually find out that no organization is perfect. No organization is 100% perfect. There's human flaw in everything in everyone, but at least do your due diligence that the people that you are putting your name and your company and your money and your time and support into is actually doing really close to what they're saying they're doing. And of course there's going to be that one idiot that's trying to ruin things, but don't just watch a commercial and think, oh, I'm doing something great and I got a postcard back to show me that I'm doing something great.
Yeah, I would definitely say immerse yourself in the actual community that you're trying to create change in. If, like Peggy said, there's a lot of people who are raising funds to support a certain thing, right? And had Peggy never been a part of that community or not been in proximity to that community, all of the work that she was doing to support that community, she would have never known that it wasn't actually doing any great change or helping them out in any kind of a way. So I think you should really surround yourself and be immersed in the community that you're trying to support. If you are putting yourself out there publicly that this is what you're supporting, then you should actually know that the faces and the names of that particular cause. So like when my grandmother had the nonprofit and I was sitting on the board for that, I knew the names of the homeless people that we were supporting, right? Like I knew their stories, I knew their children, I knew all of the intricate details of what was going on with a good portion of them, and I learned that by watching my grandmother, who was actually creating that change in other people, right? And so being able to actually be immersed around and in the community that is supporting, that you're supporting, allows you to kind of have whether or not someone is asking you to do something that's not actually going to directly benefit that cause. But two, it also gives you an opportunity to see what needs need to be met for that community and how they need to be helped. Because sometimes in a bird's eye view, saying we're going to create more housing for homeless people, right? And that's the fix. And if you've not spent some time with homeless people and understood what their actual independent needs and wants and desires are, you can't actually creatively come up with a solution, or you might be putting your money into a solution that will never actually affect the change that you're looking for. So really kind of being in the community that you're looking for, which all of this stuff we're saying is really just a summary of what she said originally anyway. So
thank you for laying the
for
foundation.
laying the
for us to build.
foundation for us to build on it. So as we really kind of move this party along, we're one last place. Are you ready for your lightning round? It's time to gain some knowledge. So in this process, we would like to share one tip on how you can boost your business by connecting to a cause. One tip. We'll let you go last so you can have time to think about it. Okay. Who would like to go first? One tip.
Peggy, you go first.
I'll go.
That lady.
I think that my one tip is to actually care. Be passionate about what you're doing. Like, just care. Homelessness is a cause that is really a big thing with Merrick and I. And one of the things that we do is we have bags in the back of our trunk that has snacks and $5 bill and some water and, you know, toothbrushes and all those things in there.
I've seen it.
I've seen socks and a pair of socks. Every bag has a pair of socks in it. And when we see a homeless person, we go give them the bag. But you know what else we do? We ask them how they're doing. Because sometimes we forget that we're all just humans. Mm-hmm. And making that connection and really being passionate about what you do, that's going to show. If you're just doing something because you want somebody to give you business, that's going to show. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing something because you care, that is going to actually attract people to you to help you continue your cause.
Yes. Andrea?
She would say care. Okay. Well, because like we told you it's really not casual, but casual, right? I was going to say, you know, in this one instance, like boost my business. I was like, I don't really necessarily think of it as boosting business. It is, like you said, energetically giving something back always sort of in like comes back. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not like a direct thing. I think it just really is. If you put out that mojo that you have something that you care about that's outside of your business, it's amazing how things will come into your business. So I'm going to take that woo-woo thing is take the woo-woo route, because your thrive stretches, and say really invest in your time or your money. I mean, if you don't necessarily have the time, but usually a cause calls you, so answer the call. Like if there's a cause calling you to pay attention to it, I say refrain from denying yourself the pleasure of giving to that cause, because that leading with your heart in that area is going to be remarkable what it does all over in a 360-degree way. So that's what I would say is, you know, listen to the call, follow it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Your turn.
Oh, okay. I think it's important to make yourself personable, like make your business like personal, because I think a lot of the times people will do all these donate, like it could be a great like very helpful, but if you just feel stiff, if your business feels stiff, it's like, well, what there's a lot of the times it's like you can't really trust like completely. So I think that like doing, I guess like what you said, like doing it with like making sure you care, I think it's the best thing that you can do. So like even if it's like giving money, like still making sure that it's like a personal way that you're doing it. I think that'll
yeah
boost No.
Yeah, that's perfect. You're doing great, kid. The one tip that I guess I would have is get creative. There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to help someone. But it comes from our usual tip, which is listen. If you listen to what is necessary and what's needed, and you take a little creativity and you add that, take that creativity to solve a problem, you can actually really kind of not only boost the morale of the community that you're supporting, but you boost your own morale because you're like, I did something good today. And you also boost the profile of your business because then, like Monica said, then people are like, oh, you're not stiff. You're human. You're a real thing. So I think really kind of just being creative with all of those things can help so very much. All right. Well, we made it through. Congratulations. You've done a great job on the couch for sure. And it is time. It's my favorite time. It's time for announcements. And to start off,
Okay.
And so to start off our announcements, we'll have Miss Andrea go first.
Okay. Well, it's the end of the year, so a lot of things are bubbling up in the Wellbeing and Worth clan. Notably, follow me on YouTube. I'm under Andrea Gewirtz. I'm trying to claim a different name, but please go there and check me out. Thank you, Monica, for putting that there. And I'm also about, opening the doors to people who are looking for some real long-lasting health solutions. I'm going to be taking 5 new clients, privates. So find me on YouTube, comment, like on Facebook at Wellbeing and Worth or Instagram, and say, hey girl, I need you, and we'll schedule a Thrive call and get you started to a better 2022.
Love it. And since we're all in the same box, we'll go with Peggy first.
Well, you can find me at headshotsbypeggy.com. That's really easy. I am available for strategy calls. I am available to do your headshots. I am always around and easy to find me. You can also find everything you want to know about me and so much more at linkapp.com/Peggy. And you go to my website, and in the footer, there's a button that says the bigger picture. Click on it. You'll get some insight about me.
And her causes, that's for sure. And do you have any announcements? Should people follow you somewhere or?
No, but do contact my mom so that
I don't want you old people on my Instagram.
Contact my mom so that I can get more dog sitting clients.
There you go. Okay.
Wish you were closer. I might deposit a dog with you this summer.
We do overnights.
Oh no, I mean, he might be living with you for a minute. I got to go to Europe. Don't say that too long, but I know he'll be in good hands.
That's
I won't want to come home.
That is so funny. So in the MinkLife community, we are on hiatus for a couple weeks, but we are prepping for our building in our community. So there's ways for you to join there. We have courses that we're gearing up for, and we have conferences that are coming up very, very soon. And so excited because what's next for us? Well, let's just say our incubator. You need to sign up for your 14-day free trial now so that you can be one of the first ones in the door when we open up on January 2nd. And also the Activate Symposium. I'm so excited. We have already gotten some of the most amazing speakers lined up for you already and counting. The symposium is 24 days, 24 roundtables, 24 courses, 72 lectures. This is basically, you're going to be able to do everything you need in your life and business over the course of that 6 weeks. And you can activate your zone of genius. If you are a speaker and you want to join this powerhouse group of people and really leverage the opportunity to share your zone of genius, did you hear the call? Are you trying to affect change? We want you to be a part of this. I want to thank my co-host today for helping me craft the conversation. My favorite slide of all of them, really. And that is Andrea Peggy and Monica A. Henderson, as opposed to Monica M. Henderson. And would love to remind you all that you have the power to activate the vision within. This holiday season this was a perfect show to end the year and to end the season, because now's the time to really kind of make a difference in the world. And one of the ways you can do that is by sharing, because sharing is caring. So hit that button and share this video with someone who you think might need a hint about why it's important for them to activate their cause and really get into there. We will see you on the flip side. There will be a couple of reruns, but we will be back with Roundtables live. Can't wait. See you next year. Happy holidays. Feliz Navidad.
Happy holidays. Happy
Hanukkah,
New Year.
Kwanzaa, solstice, all the things. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.